Schmitt. This is the You Don't Know Schmitt podcast, and I am beyond thrilled to welcome a friend, a photographer, amazing human being, Chief Marketing Officer of Be Atomic, Syd Roe, my first guest. I couldn't think of a better guest. You were number one on my list when it was first suggested to me that I start a podcast, and I was just really, really grateful that you accepted.
Oh, dude, I am like beyond honored. I can't even believe I'm your first person. Like, I'm assuming that there were like there was a long line of people before me that just couldn't make this time slot. So I'm glad that I was the one who got it. Yes.
I put all my money, all my chips on Syd Roe.
It's a good thing I got a haircut yesterday. My gosh. Oh man, I'm pumped.
I would have let you wear a hat on the show.
Would you have?
Yeah. I'd be totally fine with that.
All right.
Well, I won't dictate wardrobe for anybody.
Oh, well, thank you.
Even though I would love somebody to just help me get dressed every morning.
Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, just tell me what to put on.
I need somebody to help our 10-year-old with that as well. So if you find someone, he often comes out of his room looking kind of homeless. Like the pants are like too short and oddly wide. And then the shirt has like a rip in it, and the color combo is just completely off. Like, what's going on in there, dude? Like, was there just an explosion and you had to like grab two things because you thought the house was on fire, or what was going on? So
yeah, I'm not just in my underwear. What's the big deal?
Yeah. And the best part isn't even that he comes out looking like that, because I can understand that. The best part is that when we tell him to go change, he's confused, as if like everyone looks like this. I'm like, no, they don't. Like, I promise you.
Look around. Yeah. So, my 10-year-old always finds like the shortest pair of pants that he owns. Like, every time. Like yesterday,
yeah,
walking around the grocery store, and I'm like, did I know your pants are that short? Because I feel like I would have made a better decision as a mom at that moment.
Yeah. So. Well, it's kind of like they're so short at that point. It almost could be a new style, right? Yeah. Like, like they could start a trend. Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Winter capris.
Male winter capris.
Yes. Done. So can we complain about this weather for a little bit? So you're a transplant from Florida.
Yes.
Have you acclimated to Minnesota weather?
Have I acclimated to Minnesota? I don't even think Minnesotans have acclimated to Minnesota weather. The very first year that I was living here, I moved here the day before my birthday, so February 8th, which is right when winter becomes...
Happy belated 30th, by the way.
Thank you. I feel old, like very old. In like the best way possible, obviously. Right. Like I'm finally getting my life together old. So moved out here February 8th. The next day we had a snowstorm, and I looked at my roommate at the time and said, we're not going to work tomorrow, right? Because there's a snowstorm. And she's like, no, we're going to work. And I was like, oh, well, I can't drive my car, so I'll take the bus. So I put on my 7 layers and I waddled out to the bus, and it was snowing. Well, the way that the weather works here kind of gets a little bit warmer, and then it comes back down. So I'd parked my car in the street. My tires were in the gutter, and the snow had sort of melted around my tires and then froze overnight. So my car was literally frozen to the street. True story. Like it can only go uphill from there, I think. It really can.
It's tough to learn weather lessons like that when you're not used to it. Like somebody should have told you. There should have been a courtesy like, hey, I know you're not from around here. Or you're obviously not from around here. You might want to move your car.
Yes, absolutely. I remember talking to my coworkers at one point, and I just said like, what if you get stuck outside? What happens? And they're like, oh, you die. I mean, you need to go inside. You need to either go inside or be dressed warmly. And I'm like, oh, like I just never, this was a new thought in my head that if I stayed outside underdressed without any opportunity for housing, I could literally die. I mean,
you could freeze to death. That hypothermia is a real thing. And yeah.
Not thoughts that cross your mind from in Florida.
No. Yeah. So when I try and explain to Justin and Jordan, everybody over at Total CSR, how cold it is, like they can't even they can't fathom it. Like they have no idea. I'm like, it's really cold, guys. And I have to prove to them, like, I'm waiting for it to get cold enough. Have you ever done that experiment where you take the boiling water and you throw it into the air? And yeah. So I'm waiting for that because I feel like maybe that's going to be like the mind-blowing moment where it all comes together and they understand what cold weather is really like when you can make ice out of boiling water instantaneously. But part of me also hopes it doesn't actually get that cold.
I was going to say, Minnesota is close to Iowa, so please don't hope for that. Like,
yeah.
Because if it's like negative,
like 5 degrees colder though.
I know, that's what I was thinking. If it's negative 10 there, it's at least negative 15 here with a wind chill. So I'll be thanking you when that happens. And Justin and Jordan as well. I hope you guys are happy.
That moment together where we throw boiling water up in the air. I'm trying to explain like what people do for fun in cold weather. I don't actually have any cold weather hobbies. I hate it. I'll go running in the cold, but I actually I don't ski, I don't snowshoe, I don't ice fish.
Running in cold weather is a cold weather hobby. That's legit.
I just try to, I don't know. I zone out. That's what I do. Yeah. I zone out. I don't even think about the weather when I run. Well,
you have to just acknowledge that you will not be able to feel your legs within about 15 minutes, which might be a good thing, but
sometimes you have to wear 2 pairs of pants.
I always wear 2 pairs of pants. Was that not a thing? Are you only supposed to wear one?
My skin's maybe a little thicker from being here in my life. I don't know. So
I love it.
My gosh. So I don't know. I mean, they may listen to this first part and go, "Oh my God, we're cutting that."
No, this is the best part. You can't cut it.
So here's my I guess my first question after weather acclimation questions. You're obviously a coffee drinker.
Mm-hmm.
So are you a Starbucks all the time?
Yes. Hold on just a second. I'm going to prove something. Good thing I have this down here.
Oh.
For those of you who are only listening to this episode, I am holding a recently filled 64-ounce jug of cold brew. And so this is nitro cold brew. Don't worry, I don't drink all this in one day. But this will probably last me about a week, and then I go back and refill it.
At Starbucks.
And this is actually, we have a Dunn Brothers that's about 2 minutes away, and they make all their cold brew in-house. And it's delicious. It has once you get into cold brew, it's almost like we need a term. Like it's the sommelier of cold brews, right? Like, because you start to pick up different notes. Not all cold brew is the same.
Yeah.
Right? Like Starbucks has a more fruity, lighter undertone. This Dunn Brothers one is like very chocolate, almost like a porter or a stout. Whereas like a Starbucks cold brew would be, no, this is a thing.
No. This brings me back to a conversation that we had about Jess and her wine.
Yes.
And how she uses words that you don't understand. But
yes.
Does she feel the same way about cold brew that you do?
No. Okay. So we're kind of, but mute respect, right? Like, I don't understand when she says I'd like a South African minerally white wine that has a hint of, dirt. Like, I don't know what all that means. I just know that when I taste it, it's like, okay, it tastes good. And, she's the same with me when I'm like, oh, can we stop and get cold brew on a road trip? And she's like, yeah, sure. There's a Starbucks coming up. And I'm like, I'm not feeling the Starbucks one. Can we go a little longer, see if we can find a Caribou? Because I'm feeling the Caribou cold brew. She's like, all right, so, but we get it. And she's like, no, it does taste good. It's good. So.
Oh my gosh. So do you ever drink hot coffee?
I did during the holidays because we had candy cane coffee, peppermint flavored coffee, which was really good.
Yeah.
But I'm not really, when I drink hot coffee, I just picture myself being like on an isolated mountaintop, staring at the sunrise with complete peace and quiet and birds chirping and like a slight mist in front of me. And that's not really like how I start my everyday, because my everyday is more like, let's go. Like I'm ready to run a race.
Yeah.
I'm ready to like make a video. I'm ready to like get a million things done. I don't want to be sitting on a misty mountaintop. So I give myself the experience of like shock and cold, you know, versus that pleasant, warm feeling, I guess.
I am almost 100% hot coffee drinker.
Are you?
Yeah.
Have you tried cold brew though?
I have not. I'm scared that it's too much for me. Like I don't,
Okay.
I mean, I drink a lot of coffee. Like I will drink 10 cups a day. No lie. Like I just take it down. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
cold brew is like, that's tough stuff. Like it's coming for you.
Which is exactly why I drink it. It's coming for you because that's what life does. It's coming for you. So you might as well meet it face to face with a good cup of cold brew.
I wonder if there's like personality profiles based on coffee types.
Probably. I could see that. Yeah. Yeah. So let me ask you this. So if you're a hot coffee drinker, what's the experience that you have when you're like brewing it and you're having that first sip? Like, what are you just experiencing and thinking about and imagining before and during and after? And
well, I like the smell of brewing coffee.
Okay.
And I like the warmth. So yeah, so I like holding a warm mug. I don't even care if it's 100 degrees outside. Like I probably still want to hold a warm mug in my hand in the morning.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know that I'm on a misty mountaintop, but I don't know. I'm somewhere. I'm chillaxing. Maybe I'm at a spa. I'm at a day spa.
Ooh, I like it.
My hot coffee while somebody rubs my feet. I have no idea. That went off the rails really fast.
Well, here's the other part about brewing coffee that I'll never understand is what you just said. You have to wait for it.
Yes.
That's a lot of anticipation and anxiety during that anticipation, which I give you credit for.
Mine is programmed. So it starts brewing at 4 a.m. But it is, I feel like that Folgers commercial. Like, or do you remember that where it's like they're laying in bed and they hear it and they smell it, and that's me. Like I love hearing like that first drip, and then when it beeps that it's done, I'm like, it's time to go. Let's do it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I dig that. I could dig that. Okay. All right. Maybe you'll convince me to see. We don't have a fancy programmable one. So we have a Jess makes all of her hot coffee with a French press.
Oh, yes.
Because she's fancy like that. And she recently came to me and said, I think we need to up our coffee game because I don't know that the French press is really doing it for me. Like, I don't know if we need to do hand grinder. I don't know if we need to go talk to the people who make the beans. I don't know and I'm like, okay.
Vacation in Colombia.
You do you. Right? Yeah. So she wants something different, something to up her coffee game. But I think maybe you've convinced me, maybe I'll give it a try, like a programmable coffee maker.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at an espresso machine now.
Now that I could get my hands around.
Yes.
More caffeine.
But a machine that does both. Like it'll do your 10-cup drip coffee. It'll do your espresso. Like I need to have all of my options.
Yeah. Well, and you get more bang for your buck with an espresso.
Yeah.
Get what that's life's coming at you. I'm coming at you too. Like that's my style.
Yeah.
If I was going to do warm, I would do espresso, I think.
Yes. It is amazing.
Yeah.
It's strong though. I mean, but I like it. I dig it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, cheers to Iowa then.
Yes, and cheers to Minnesota and cold brew and hot coffee and everything in between. I don't know what there is in between. The coffee that's been in your mug for 4 hours and is room temperature.
I was gonna say I am water, cold brew, and I do drink BCAAs. I don't know if you know what BCAAs are for working out. They help repair your muscles when you're strength training. So I'll do that. Otherwise, bourbon and beer. So that's basically my liquid palate in a sentence. Yeah.
So I am actually drinking hot tea right now because I have a cold or something coming on. So when like peppermint tea is my favorite drink. I mean, I had my 10 cups of coffee, but also now switching to tea. But yeah, otherwise water and sparkling water and tequila.
Tequila?
Oh yeah.
I would not have pegged you as a tequila.
Well, when we were at that restaurant, that little purple drink that I was drinking was tequila.
Oh my, well, but see, that's, okay, now hold on a second.
But I'll drink it straight.
That's what I was wondering, because that's the true sign that you really dig the liquor, is if you can drink it straight.
Yeah, I will.
I'm impressed.
Well, I don't know if there's something to be impressed about, but it is, tequila, and if I don't have tequila, then I drink vodka.
I will say the one thing I love about tequila is and granted, all liquor does sort of have this effect, but tequila more so than I think all others. When you drink it, you feel like you've just gotten a warm hug. And I don't know if it's the way the liquor is made. I don't know if it's like it coming from the roots of Hispanic culture, and like every Hispanic person I have ever met, they're like the nicest people. Like you could knock on their door and they're like, come in, we'll feed you, we'll clothe you, we'll get you off to, like whatever you need, they're there for you. I had 2 friends when I was growing up, and I used to go out to their house in California, and my plane got stuck and I had to stay over for a holiday, and they were just, their whole family was there. It was like I was their kid. Anyways, I swear tequila makes you feel like I'm right back in that moment, and it's just this warm hug that just spreads throughout your body. It's the coolest thing. So anyways, impressed and I get it. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I came to learn in the last year was that like a true tequila drinker, it's not shots. Like you sip. So like you would a bourbon. So, but you obviously you need a decent tequila for that. You can't use some crappy stuff and try and sip it. At that point, you might as well just take a shot and hope for the best. So,
and down some Tylenol after that. Yeah.
So, gosh, what do we want to talk about? Fitness, diet, all of the fun stuff that you do. I want to talk about music. Do you have like a jam? Because you're an early morning workout person as well.
Oh,
do you have like a song that you play every morning on your way to the gym?
It's funny because so Jess and I, my partner Jess, also works out, but we've recently started. We used to go to the same workout time, 5 a.m. She's recently started going to 6 a.m. because Lucas has hockey really late at night, and so she's just up later with him picking him up. So I normally get the morning crew, and then she gets the night crew is kind of how we split it up. But every time she gets in my car to go to a 5 a.m. class, she's like, ooh, we get to listen to Syd jams. And I'm like, I didn't know this was a thing, Syd jam. Don't you have your jams? Like, so it changes, it varies. I would say I like we're talking about that moment before you have to go into the gym and stack weights on top of your bar, and then do 20 to 50 squats or pick up a kettle. So you're really having to get your mind in the right spot. Eminem, as like a throwback, and I'm talking old school Eminem, not the stuff he's putting out now. I'm talking old school,
Lose Yourself,
Slim Shady. Yeah. Yes. And when you're jamming, it is a full body experience, right? Like those songs deserve more than just a little whisper every few words, right? You just got to put your whole body into it. You got to blast it. So, I would say Eminem. What are some other ones? I like a good, 90s, like Smash Mouth.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's like my time, so I really throw it back and get a little crazy up in there.
That is Smash Mouth. I don't think I ever heard anybody mention Smash Mouth in a long time, but I'm gonna have to add it to my playlist.
Dude, All Star. Oh my gosh, it's like one of the best songs to it's immediate hype. Like you turn that on and you're immediate. You don't even have to wait for it. There's no build. It is immediate hype.
Oh my gosh. Do you do like your own karaoke in the car? Do you?
Yes.
Singing in the car? Yeah.
Oh yes. Yes. Yeah. I get into it. I'm a part of the band at that point. So.
I know. If only they recognized your talent and recruited you.
Right. Dang it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I also am I just, it always changes. I feel like my music does rotate a lot as well. But yeah, it's like I'll dance anywhere. I will sing anywhere. If there's good songs on at Target, I'm dancing and singing in the aisles. And I thought people thought I was crazy, but they will still ask me to help them find items. And I don't wear this shirt to Target. Like, I don't wear this shirt to Target. I don't want to be identified as an employee, but it doesn't matter. People will ask me where things are because they probably have seen me there 25 times before that. And so
that is amazing. That is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, if I had the choice to ask someone who is dancing versus someone who looked like they hated their life where to go for, you know, the peanuts, I would definitely ask the dancing person every time. I mean,
putting out the vibe.
Yeah, they're putting out the vibe. Exactly. So I'm with you.
Yeah. So, but I love it. Like, I'm always like, I have like the water bottle microphone going all the time. Like, I'm just
really.
Yeah, I really get into it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I may need to up my game after this conversation. Hot coffee and water bottle. Okay, we're good. I got it.
Yeah, you can use a hairbrush, whatever you have handy.
Okay.
Use a real microphone.
Done. I bring my own microphone. BYOM.
That's right. If you're going to a karaoke party, you better have your own equipment.
Leave the beer, bring the microphone. Let's go.
Yes, absolutely. Tequila, coffee, microphones.
We're good.
So what hobbies does Syd Roe have other than remodeling kitchens at lightning speed? I felt the house remodel, like, you went through that so fast. I'm jealous because I've been waiting 7 years to remodel a kitchen, and you did it like in a weekend.
Yeah. My partner and I are still together, so that should be the first thing I put out there. If you really want your relationship to become deeper, I would say do some remodeling together. You'll learn a lot about each other. You'll learn a lot about yourself, for sure. But we had a lot of fun with it. We both like doing like more hands-on projects, and it was a fun way to get the kids involved in some stuff too. They didn't love doing more of the boring work, but if you get them like smashing a wall or something, to tear it down, like they like that kind of stuff, and just kind of seeing it all come together. We had to do it in about 45 days. So we did all new flooring, pulled out a wall, put in an island, new countertops, repainted all the kitchen cabinets. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. But hobbies, my gosh, I am an okay snowboarder. I've like snowboarded 5 times in my life, but I love doing it. Just that feeling of, it's so interesting because I realized very quickly when I was taking snowboarding lessons that really all they're teaching you is how to stop. That's literally, that's all you're learning is how to stop.
Stop and not break a bone, hopefully.
Stop and not break a bone, right? Which everything else in life, you're trying to learn how to start.
Yeah.
And with snowboarding, you're learning how to stop. It was such an interesting thing. So, but I love it. And just that feeling of like throwing yourself down a mountain is just awesome. Let's see, gosh, what else? I am so boring all of a sudden, I feel like. We got a dog 1.5 years ago, so love taking him out to the dog park and stuff. I love watching YouTube videos. Like I'm obsessed with videography and, camera gear. And so I'm always like watching what new camera gear is coming and how YouTubers are, editing their shots and how they're telling stories. And I don't know. I love all that kind of stuff. What else? That might be it.
So I think what's interesting about that is that obviously it's very closely tied to what you do every day, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So your craft is really your hobby. I mean, it's the same thing. So you're constantly in creation and learning mode.
Yeah, I've tried to build a life where I love what I do every day. Whether that's be with my partner, be with the kids, be with my friends, doing, fitness or home remodeling and working too, right? Like I think my dad always used to tell me, do one thing that you love consistently for the rest of your life and you'll be successful. Don't be going off in all these different directions, because I was trying to pitch him on multi-level marketing and he was not about that. So yeah, I think I've just tried to keep things really simple and basic and focus on being consistent in a few things that I really love, whether that's like friends, family, or work, right? Like don't go down too many directions and get too distracted. Do a few things really, really, really well.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how did you end up in Minnesota, by the way?
Ryan Hanley.
Oh, geez, Ryan.
Such a troublemaker. No, I actually went, so when he first hired me, I said, okay, sure. But I want to move to Colorado. And he was like, that's totally fine. You can move to Colorado. I work from New York. I don't mind where you live and,
Right.
Work. And I was living in DC at the time. And the trustedchoice.com headquarters, or Agency Nation headquarters, was in Minneapolis. And he called me up like 3 weeks before I was going to move into my apartment in Colorado. And he said, I know you've got sort of your whole plan and you're going through the motions, but you're young. Just stop for a minute and consider this. I feel like you have a real future in this company, and getting to know the team and spending some time in Minnesota with the people is going to be game changer for you. So if you want to, see, this is the Ryan Hanley. He always presents it as an option for you, but then you always come back around to choosing it.
Such a leading question.
He'll never tell you what to do, but he'll always make it the best option.
Yeah.
So he said, if you could just spend 3 to 4 months there and then move to Colorado, just consider it. And then he hung up the phone. And I was like, oh, dang it. And like, the next day I called and figured, had to cancel then I looked on Craigslist for a roommate, which was an insane process and did not end up with a murderer. We're still friends today.
Good.
Good. And yeah, moved to Minneapolis. Then I met my partner, Jess, and that was kind of that. So now I'm here, been here for 4 years.
Yeah. So, and how long have you and Jess been together then?
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So pretty much like you met her
pretty
like
much
right away.
Yeah. She was, she's the reason I stayed. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, you guys are such an amazing couple. I love spending time with you guys.
Well, she's one of the most open-minded, patient people. And I don't know. I can't really explain it. Like I think we just get each other. And she's, I don't know. She's an incredible person. I wish I could like describe her in words, but it's not me is what I'm trying to say. It's really not me. Like she
has like
puts
a
up
special calm about her.
She does.
Yeah.
Yes. Because she's been through enough experiences that it's almost like nothing can faze her.
Yeah.
And so that's where that patience comes from and that open-mindedness comes from, but she's still stubborn as all get out. Like, she still has her own, like just the way she views life and what she wants. And so it's just this weird mix of like, I don't know how she does it. But she's great. So
yeah. And so with that relationship came 3 amazing kids.
Yep. Lucas is 15. Andrew is 10 and Kari is 12. And they are nothing alike. They're all completely different.
Crazy how that happens.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
When I first walked into a relationship where kids were involved, I had a very different vision of what it would be. I thought it was going to be like unicorns and rainbows and getting ice cream together and calmly asking you to clean your room and then you actually doing it with no problems and, never having homework issues. And I've come to learn that the balance there is, I thought it was more 80% things will go great. 20%, you know, we're going to have to deal with some of the rough.
Yeah.
And now I'm realizing, no, that is the right split, just reversed. So
Right.
yeah. So
it's like every stage brings its challenges. It's crazy. So is the 15-year-old taller than either one of you yet?
Yes, he is. His dad is super tall. So he's like, and I think he's going to be even taller. I think he'll be like over 6 foot by the time he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a tall dude.
Yeah, I felt like I lost a little bit of authority in my house when my 15-year-old outgrew me. But
yeah,
he is tall enough to reach stuff that I can't reach. So it actually is very beneficial to just have him take care of things that, I don't know, I no longer have to use a stool as much as I used to.
So for us, it was the height, but it was also the voice drop.
Oh yeah.
Like he had this really cute, sweet voice, and then it kind of went through the like crackly stage, and then it just dropped. So now when he says something, it's like, whoa, Lucas is talking.
Like, who is that? Oh
yeah. Yeah, he sounds like one of those like sports commentators.
Oh yeah.
He's like,
he's a voiceover.
Mom. Yeah, like he's just like, it's just so deep. It like calls authority. Like when he speaks, it's like, oh my gosh. So, and he's very quiet too and introverted. So when he does talk, it's normally something important, you know?
Yeah.
So you combine the height, the lack of, you know, the rare communication, and then the voice drop, and it's like, whoa, right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Is he, are we like in a girlfriend stage?
We are in a girlfriend stage. It's funny you mentioned that. So, are you also going through that stage?
We are, not permitting any dating at this moment. I mean, my son's 13, and it's just
okay.
Yeah, he's just definitely not mature enough. not that both guys are until much older in life.
Yeah,
but we're just trying to help him understand that there's really no point in dating in high school. I mean, I truly feel that way. I wouldn't have done that to myself.
Yeah. That's, I would agree. I would totally agree. So yeah, I think the struggle for us is, he wants to use big words, and maybe we need to think twice about what those words really mean, right? Like that's the conversation we're kind of having right now, is they've been together for like, 5-ish months or so. And it's like, I love you is still a big word, even for 5 months. Like, let's slow down there, buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm with you though. It's a complicated thing. It's kind of cool though, to see them explore, those feelings for the first time. I think that's been kind of I think you forget when you become an adult what, not that you forget, but it's just, you get so wrapped up in the daily, monotony of life, where it's like, okay, we got to get the kids fed. We got to get them off to school. We got to, we're going to work. We're handling all that stuff. We're coming back home. We're trying to have time as a couple. We got to put the kids to bed. We got to wake up the next morning. We do it all over again. And there's hockey, and there's volleyball, and there's friends, and there's now girlfriends. But it's kind of neat. It's, to sort of like hear him talk about her and sort of watch them together. It's like, oh my gosh, like it's like young love. It's so naive and so pure and so inexperienced. I don't know, it's like magical to kind of watch it, sort of evolve and sort of see how they're figuring themselves out and have those conversations where you're kind of guiding them. And it's cool. It's really special.
Yeah. So maybe in a couple of years, I'll feel prepared for that.
Yes.
I don't know. Right
Good
now,
luck.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, are you on the phone with a girl? What's the level of relationship here? Like, I feel like I'm playing 20 questions every time I hear a female voice. And then I'm always hoping it is a female voice, and I didn't mistake one of his guy friends as a girl, because his voice hasn't changed yet. So Because I mean,
funny.
you know,
I can't say I've run into that, but that is funny.
You know, their schedules are a
Right.
little bit different, and
Right.
so I felt like he was an early bloomer, like grew 5 inches, voice dropped, like all of that kind of stuff. And his friends, and he's younger, so he's like the youngest in his grade, but his friends are kind of like behind him in the development track. So sometimes even when they're over here, I'm like, who is that? What is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is he the leader of his crew? Is he like the leader of the pack in a way?
And not really. You know, it's
No?
funny. I don't know who the alpha is in their group.
Okay.
I can't figure it out when they're like hanging out at the house. I can't figure it out.
Really?
I would say, yeah, there's one, but I'm like, I hope he's not the alpha, because if he's like setting the pace for everybody, I'm gonna have to have words with him.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
So we're just I don't know. Early teenage years, yikes. It's tough.
Yeah. They are tough. They're I think they help you learn. I mean, I've learned a lot about myself, we'll put it that way. About just my own ability. I think you think you're better at things, like whether it's communication or guidance or even an understanding of sort of like what direction is the right direction to go, or what decision is the right direction decision to make. And I think I've learned a lot about, you know, how I need to work on some things too, right? And how I'm imperfect. And I feel it's really true that the first one is the guinea pig, you know, like I feel like we've learned so much. And then, you know, you add in the complexity of co-parenting, right? So you've actually got 4 parents involved, not 2. So you're communicating with Lucas, but you're also communicating with, you know, dad and stepmom as well. And keeping everybody on the same page, making sure everything's consistent. You know, you learn a lot about how bad you are at things sometimes, right? So, so it's been, I mean, I guess I strive to be a better person every day, right? As cliche as that sounds. And in a way, you know, I'm glad that he's, I don't know, I feel like he's taught me a lot about myself as well. And I'll never, you know, I mean, that's something I can never repay him for. And he'll never understand it either, right? But it's like,
maybe when he's a parent, he'll understand what that's like. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I have a different appreciation for what I put my parents through. I think that just, you know, it's just one of those natural things that comes with, you know, then stepping in and raising kids. So did you feel like it was tough to figure out what your place was in the equation
Yeah. I tried to be their friend first. Mm-hmm. That backfired very quickly because kids are and they don't mean to be manipulative, but they're just so self-centered when they're young. Right. They have to be taught to, it's hard. Cause I think, I mean, people aren't, narcissistic, right? But there's a sense of selfishness, right? And so you kind of have to. It's a
universe of one at that point. And I don't even age that changes, but yeah, it's like a universe of one.
Right. You want them to lean more into that selflessness. I feel like they kind of have they tend to lean more into that selfishness. You want to kind of recalibrate that for them. But yeah, I tried to be their friend and it did not end well. It was like, I couldn't get them to help me with things or do things. And it was because of the way I was asking and the way that they viewed me. Right. So I had to have but the hard part is taking on the responsibility of a parent it's a very weighty thing. Hopefully, I'm sure parents out there realize it, but don't really take enough credit for it. I feel like to hold another person's life in your hands is a big deal. And I think you've got to really, take that on in the fullest sense. You can't halfway it, right? You can't be there for 25% or be there for 50%. I mean, if you're going to be involved in this person's life in a really meaningful way, you've got to go all in. And that transition was really, really difficult for me because I had been living a really selfish life. right? Only kind of concerned about myself, and then having to sort of say, okay, like I've got to put myself aside and actually think about these 3 other people. And then, you add in the complexity of, they didn't come out of your body, right? So that's
right.
There's a special thing that parents have with their kids that I see with Jess and I see with their dad. It's just, I don't know, you can't put words to it, right? It's the most magical thing I think that exists in the world. I mean, other than like finding your partner, I think having a kid and having that type of bond with someone is like, there's nothing like it. And so, how do you be involved and take responsibility for this person's life, but not have that automatic, unconditional bond and love, right? So that was really hard to sort of figure that out. And then you add in the co-parenting. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely been a weird process. It's been a really weird process, but I think, my goal every day is, my goal every day is to recognize that I'm living in their world, right? I walked into their life. They're already living their life. I mean, they were 12, 10, and 8 when I walked in. And what can I do to help make that environment the best environment for them that I possibly can, right? That's just, I mean, anything I can do, that's kind of my goal. So they're very special kids. I mean, they really are. And they've been through a lot, like, so yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's so rewarding when you realize, and you've probably had these moments, and Jess has definitely had these moments where you realize that you've raised really strong and resilient kids. Mm-hmm. Like they just understand how to get through things. They understand when to ask for help. Mm-hmm. They understand what it's like to be vulnerable and when they need to be tough. Like it is special to know that you've had some contribution to that. And and it sounds like your kids are like that. So, which is amazing. It's special. It really is.
Yeah. And there's a lot of work to be done. I mean, I think they're not perfect. Yeah. They're not perfect. We have not been perfect. I think there will be some scars there because of that, but yes, I do see their ability to sort of, when I see them make good decisions, it's like this confidence that they're going to grow up one day and they're not going to be in your house and they're not going to be able to, you're not going to drive them home from school and hear about their day, but you know that they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And like, that's, when you see that, it's like, it's kind of like you can breathe a sigh of relief, right? Because you don't want to, because you're so worried about it. What are they going to, I mean, Lucas only has 3 years left at home.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, that's it. Then he's out on his own. He's gonna have to figure out life. And I mean, not completely on his own, obviously, but like it's a scary thing. So
you think he'll go at age 18? Like he'll just like,
I don't think
not coming back. See ya.
No, I don't think he will. I think Kari will. I think Lucas I think he's got, he's going to be a slower, he's just more introverted. He's more, and not to say like introverts stick with their parents, longer, but I think he's just got more growing to do. And he just, I think he feels a lot more attached to home life, right? What I see in Kari is this need to she is just, never wants to be at home, always wants to go somewhere, always wants to be with friends, always making decisions for herself, very independent, right? Yeah. So I see her just sort of blossoming too quickly, sort of the opposite. And then, I don't know, Andrew's, I'm not sure what he's only 10. So I think, I got 8 years to figure that out. I'll check back in with you. How about you? What do you think your kids will do the same? Just sort of sprout out and.
Yeah, I think my middle child, I don't know. I mean, he is like my quieter kid and he's, I think he would kind of just go with whatever. If we were like, you gotta just kind of find your own place, he'd be like, okay. Like he's just
Yeah.
kind of that kid. He doesn't get worked up about anything. My oldest, I think he'll be gone, but he'll want his life funded. Like we got to work on life costs money.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to figure out how to manage that. But yeah, my daughter, I don't know. I always tell her she can live with me for the rest of her life.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. She's some days she says yes, and then other days she's like, I am not staying here any longer than I have to. And she's only 6, so
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they all tell me that, but I always tell them, you can stay with us as long as you want.
Yeah.
So that's what my parents always used to tell me, like, don't,
there's no hurry.
There's no hurry. You've got your whole life ahead of you. Don't worry, So I always tell them that too. And of course they respond with, I'm moving out at 17 and and I'm going to have a job. And I'm like, great.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I'll be very impressed when that happens.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah. So I grew up in a family there's 5 kids. So my youngest brother is 25.
Okay.
But the joke always was that my mom just kept having kids because she didn't ever want to have an empty nest.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was more of an adjustment for my mom when we all left out than it was.
Do you feel like you're gonna go through that too?
I mean, I hope not. I hope that I just have more interesting things that I want to do than hang out with my kids. That sounds horrible. That sounds really awful. But I'm hoping that in 12 years, like, I have other experiences that I want to tackle outside of being a mom. So yeah, once I have more of that freedom, I hope that I'm willing to exercise it, because you're a mom for the rest of your life. Like that doesn't change. Yeah. But the requirements of that role change. And so so I'm hoping that I'll enjoy each phase of it for whatever it is. So
yeah. Well, it's a different type of like we've talked about traveling with the kids when they're older. Yeah. That I cannot wait for. Yeah. Just because you're not on psycho stalker mode during travel, right? Where it's like, oh my God, where did Andrew go? Oh my God. And he's the kid that leaves his backpack places or will like take off his shoes and leave them. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why'd you do that? Where'd your tennis shoes go? I don't know. Yeah. And then it's always that, it's like, oh, bro. So, I can't wait till they can kind of handle their own business and, we can all sort of focus on other things instead of where are Andrew's shoes every 15 minutes.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I'm hoping that my kids are up for that as well. We've talked about like traveling with them when they're young, but then I'm like, there's no way my kids won't survive a 12-hour flight somewhere. They go stir crazy. I can't even imagine. We would get kicked off a plane. They'd be like, we have to turn the plane around because these kids are insane. And so sorry, everybody. They do pretty well. I mean, they've done some long car rides and they've survived them, but I mean, you can pull over, you can get out. You can't.
You can. Yeah, you can't pull a plane over. Yeah. No. Yeah, you don't want to get out of a plane mid-flight. That does not work well. And you can't even like go to the bathroom because it's, it's like so cramped there. It's like you can't. That's I've not been on a 12-hour flight with them, but I can imagine that would be pretty tough. So
yeah. So when it comes to being parents, trying to sort out what a relationship looks like do you guys make sure you have date night? Like what's your thing as a couple?
Yeah. So, no, not date night. It's actually therapy is our thing, which every time I feel like I say the dreaded T word, people get really awkward because in our society, therapy is equated with, you're doing something terribly, terribly wrong in your relationship and, you need therapy, but normal couples don't need therapy. Right.
Right.
Which I always find so fascinating because I have yet to meet a perfect couple.
Right.
I think the difference with certain relationships is, some people are willing to admit that there's more things wrong and some people are not willing to admit, but there's always something going on, right?
Right.
And that's just because of like what life throws at you. So, I mean, yeah, we started therapy last January. So we've been doing it for a year and 2 months now. And it is the single biggest thing that has helped our relationship, because we have the way that we communicate now is so much more effortless and it's so much more intentional.
Yeah.
That was the key that we were missing. It wasn't necessarily time. It wasn't, physical attention. It was being able to communicate how we were feeling, because if we do that, and when we do that, like I tell her I'm really, stressed about work because this thing is coming up, or, she tells me something that she's struggling with, or I tell her I need something because of XYZ, right? I mean, and then the ability to sort of say, okay, this is kind of what I need or what I want or what I'm going through, but then also give space to the other person, right? I mean, just all these different, the ability to sort of like, I don't know, communicate and understand the other person and understand yourself. That has been the single biggest thing that's helped our relationship. Yeah. So yeah. And then of course there's always, we do date nights and we do spend time together every night, and we have time set away, every evening where we ask each other, how's your day going and what's going on and what are you feeling? So we do all those things, but it's the foundation has really been that really working on our relationship, and on ourselves independently within the relationship, has made us a much stronger couple over the last year. So yeah.
It's pretty amazing. So I listened to this interview with Dax Shepard. Well, I listened to his podcast.
I love Dax Shepard.
Oh, Dax. But yeah, so he and Kristen Bell went to therapy long before they ever got married, and so they would have never gotten married had they not done the work ahead of time.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, you got Dax and Kristen on your side.
And it takes I mean, she loves sloths and I love sloths. So, it takes so much longer than you think too. I mean, I was thinking like, oh, we'll be, 3 or 4 months in and we'll see this magical shift. And now we're a year in and I look back and I'm like, oh my God, why were we arguing about that stupid thing? Right. Or just, why did we do those things or not do those things or think about it in that way or not think about it in that way? So I think it also takes a lot longer. And I guarantee I'll look back, in January of 2021, right, and say, what in the world was I doing, a year ago, right? So I think there's, I just, to me, a relationship is, it's the most important thing. If you can't get your relationship with your partner right, I don't know how you get your relationship with your kids right. I don't know how you get your relationship at work right. I don't know how you get your relationship with friends right. Like, to me, that's like the sort of foundation, right? That's that's the person you're with every single day. If you can't figure out how to treat them with respect and appreciate them and love them, I don't know how the sort of the more, not less important, but sort of the things that are, a little less close, really are strong and, you have a good relationship in those areas. So I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, sorry, I don't know where I was going with that, but it's
no. So do you think it's fair to say that doing this work on your relationship has allowed you to just be more effective in other areas of your life?
100%.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, 100%. If my relationship, if there's something going on there, you'll see it when in the way that I interact with the kids, in the way that I interact with friends, in the way that I interact at work. You'll see it everywhere, because how could you not? That's the most, it's the thing that's, that person is your person. They are not your person, but they are the closest, most important thing to you, right? That's the person that's walking life with you. They see you better than anybody else. They see every piece of you, right? If something's going wrong there, I don't know how you hide it from. You could try, but yeah, I absolutely think it affects. Yeah. And, the positive of that is, the amount of support that you get to be able to go out and do these great things, right? So the negative of it is, hey, if something's going wrong, you might see it, right? But the positive is when it's going right, it's the most energizing, amazing fuel that you can't, there's nothing like it, right? I mean, to know that that person is going to be there for you and support you and love you in every way. There's nothing that's the most epic fuel that you could possibly have. Yeah. And then you can go out and you could share that with other people. Right. So yeah, 100%. I think it definitely affects every piece of my life. I mean, what about you? Would you say?
Yeah. I mean, I think, it's certainly, it's kind of like the epicenter of your life, right? So it does tend to have a pretty serious impact on every other area of your life. And yeah, I mean, I would agree. And it's, yeah, I mean, some days are more challenging than others. And yeah, it's a journey though.
It is. And yeah, it is. It definitely is. I think, I mean, the other piece of it too is I really have this, I don't know, I think just, everything that I went through with, my parents and sort of seeing this like, ability for society to sort of, and people in society to create this sort of, how would you say it? Inequality, right? I mean, I feel like I have this need to create equality because of that in whatever facet. Like right now, Be Atomic is, I mean, it is my like passion. It's my calling because I'm not there for the technology. I love the technology and it's really cool.
Right.
But ultimately what I see Be Atomic doing is empowering the independent agent. And, right now we live in this sort of insurance bubble where the independent agent actually takes a lot of crap from the rest of the industry, right? They're sort of like, they're the ones down at the, the bottom of the bucket, sort of taking all the pressure from carriers and these massive companies. And also, they don't have a lot of leverage or power to really change things as a small business owner, right? I mean, you could go to your carrier and say, hey, I kind of want this thing done this way. And even if you're a big independent agent, they're still probably going to tell you, okay, cool, that sounds great, we'll work on that. And then you walk out the door and they're like, okay, now let's like get back to what we were talking about before, right? Or the tech vendor level, right? If it's like, hey, we need you guys to open up your systems because we need to connect our marketing with our, with our base system so that we can actually create automations that help our service team so that we can be more efficient and spend our time wowing customers instead of duplicate entry. Like, there's all these different things that need to be done. And right now, the independent agent doesn't have a lot of power to do those things. So to me, what I see Be Atomic doing is sort of equalizing that power structure so that agents they have a voice, they have more self-worth because they're owning their data, and they have more leverage going into some of these conversations to say, hey, look, we've aggregated this agent data and we're finding XYZ. This isn't just me saying this. This is, 1,000 other agencies using the platform and learning about how, what's best and how we can do things better. So that's really what I love about, what I'm doing now. And I think Be Atomic is like the very first, step. I would love to, after we build Be Atomic and we do that, I mean, I don't know, dude, I'd love to get more into LGBTQ space and I was working on a project before I came to Minneapolis where we were creating a platform to help trans people find more friendly medical care providers, right? So going through different criteria, how can we assess whether somebody is more friendly at the medical level and what are the specific needs of a trans person and what does this platform look like? And so back to your question, relationships, do they impact? Yeah, 100%. Because I mean, at the end of the day, I think if you're going to make an impact on society, like how do you go out and make an impact on society if you're screwing things up at home? Like I can't, those two things don't compute, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly necessary, absolutely necessary to get that right.
Yeah. I love it.
Sorry, that was a monologue. I get on my monologue.
No, it was great.
You gotta just tell me, Syd, stop monologuing. No. Shut up.
No.
I'm gonna move on to the next thing.
You're the guest. You can monologue as much as you want.
Okay. All right. Well,
so
it's a good question. It's a really good question.
So what would you say has been your biggest lesson in 30 years? Like your biggest life lesson?
Oh gosh, my biggest life lesson in 30 years? Man, I have to come up with that in 30 seconds. Gosh. Oh, my biggest life lesson.
You already answered my question. What's next for Syd Roe? Is Be Atomic it, or will you move on to other projects? You already answered that. So.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I love Be Atomic and I'm super pumped about it, but it is definitely not the last thing I'll do for sure. Gosh, though, the biggest life lesson, that's really hard. I feel like I've learned so much about what I can do better. I'd say the thing that's really stuck out to me recently is that principle of consistency, which we kind of started with, right? Yeah. I don't even know really how to like verbalize how much it means to me, but I think consistency in anything allows you to go deeper on it. And when you go really deep on something, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business, whether it's an idea, you find out more about yourself and what you're capable of. You're able to grow that thing, whatever it is. And I think ultimately find more success. Like that's the thing. I mean, yeah, I don't know how to even like verbalize it. I've just been sort of like, it's kind of been, bouncing around in my head. Somebody asked me recently, like, what is the marketing principle that you would, most subscribe to? And it's really just consistency, right? I mean, every single day, somebody else asked me, do you ever feel fear when you're making videos on YouTube that you're not going to know what to talk about next week? Right? Like when you're doing your podcast, you might think like, oh my God, I have the next 3 weeks, but I don't know what I'm going to talk about after that. Yeah. Right. Or when you build a business, right? I'm going to build this thing and then I don't know where to go after that. And I think, whatever that thing is that you're really passionate about, right? Whether it's talking to people and getting to know their story, right? They're like really truly who they are as a person, whether it's pulling out the best marketing principles or ideas, whatever it is, if the longer that you stay with it, the better it's going to get. Like, it's all about that consistency, right? It's getting up every day and coming at it from a different angle, working through a roadblock, showcasing it in a different way, whether, visually versus audibly, asking a different question, having a different, type of person on. There's just so many ways that you can dive into it. And I think a lot of times in life, we sort of like stray away from, when things get, tougher, or when we just lose that determination, or we lose that extra, I don't know what, whatever that thing is, you just kind of lose it. And then you sort of like, it's sort of like that story of when somebody goes to Simon Sinek's point, right? Like you have that friend who's like, no, this is the career that I'm most passionate about. And then they either get fired or they move on, and 3 years later, and like, no, this is the thing I'm most passionate about. And then like 2 or 3 later, right, they move on, and this is the thing. It's like, you're the actions that you take tell a story about who you are and what you want to do in life. And the more consistent your actions are and the deeper that you can go on something, I think the greater impact that you can have, right? Back to that, like, you've just got to focus on, do one thing that you really love for the rest of your life and you'll be successful, right? Narrow in on that thing and go as deep as you possibly can. And then just, I think that's where you're going to really find it. So I don't know. I'm 30.
Superpower.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Maybe I'll have a better way of describing that when I'm 40. But that's my very, very rough draft 30-year-old version of it.
I love it. So who's had the biggest impact on your life? If you had to pick one person.
Oh gosh. One person? These are really hard questions.
I know.
This is like, if you're on an island, what music would you choose? Like,
desert island. What 3 movies would you bring?
What person has had the biggest impact on my life? Wow, that's a tough one. Can I say that different people have had different impacts on my life, but the amount of people who have impacted my life, I could probably count on one hand?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay. Because I would say, I mean, my mom and dad obviously have had a huge impact. Ryan Hanley's had a huge impact. Jess has had a huge impact, but each one of them has had a huge impact differently, right?
Yeah.
Seth Zaremba's had a huge impact. And I know that that's just getting started. Like, we're only 7 months in and I feel that way. So yeah, I would say that I don't know that there's a single person, but certainly I've been lucky to have a few. So
yeah. And I would agree. It's hard to pick one person.
It is.
I don't think that I could, so it probably was not a fair question.
Yeah, okay, good. Then I don't feel as bad for saying
don't feel bad. I'm like in my head now trying to narrow this down to one person. Like, why did I write that? Oh, jeez, there's no way I could narrow it down to one person. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is tough.
If you had to go back and give advice, let's say, like, what was the most pivotal age for you? Was it like your 20, like in your early 20s? Like, when did things really start to change in terms of how you saw your future, and like, given that age, like, what would you go back now and tell yourself at that age?
I would say, so this is just sort of an off the cuff answer, I would say things really started shifting dramatically for me when I was 22, because so when you live in a society or an environment that tells you, you can't be who you are, you sort of have this denial phase you go through for a while where you're like, well, I'm gay, but I'm still going to like get married and have kids and do all the things, right? Because you're kind of like, it, but you're like, but that's never going to actually happen, right? Just because how could it?
Yeah.
And then you come to a crossroads where you have to decide for yourself, am I going to accept who I am? Am I going to first? Because I know that society isn't, so can I do it?
Right.
Or am I going to let society dictate who I am? And so that really happened for me at 22. And I had to say, Syd, stop listening to the voices in your head, accept who you are. And that was an emotional process because you go through a lot of guilt, because people tell you, you sort of are, in a way, you're not normal. And so you have to sort of embrace that not normalcy. And there's a lot of guilt that goes around with that. And so sort of being okay and comfortable with that and sort of letting it go, right? That was a really pivotal shift. And then I would say the thing I would go back and tell myself is, don't be so angry. Life is such a long, I was so angry for the first few years of my 20s. I just wish I wouldn't have, I used it as fuel. But I just wish I wasn't, because that anger and sort of distrust, right?
Yeah.
It's not a healthy way to live. And in life is, and I think you just get so wrapped up in like the short term, you forget when you're in your early 20s, like how long life is in a way, and you've got so many years ahead of you and so much opportunity. So that's probably what I would tell myself. Don't be angry and trust people. So yes.
Yeah. I mean, it is funny in your early 20s, you're like, I'm an adult now. I should have this all figured out.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is, you're still so young at age 22. super young still at age 30. I'm older, but I'd like to consider myself to still be very young and learning.
I still feel, I mean, I say I feel old, but I do still feel really young. You know, I feel like more, I don't know. I think I talk to people like Seth and, you know, even Ryan and, you know, other people who are, have been through a lot more life experiences. And I'm like, man, I'm so behind the times. Like, you know, there's just so much to learn, and you can't learn it. You can't speed it up. Right.
Right.
You have to wait for life to happen.
Yep.
In a way. I mean, there are things that you can do to go out, and I'm not saying just sit on your couch all day and eat Doritos, but you know, like there's a pace to life that you can't hasten. So
right. You can't speed up time.
Yeah.
You have to let it pass the way it's going to pass. And it's funny because as you get older, time goes faster, but at the same time, the anticipation of things doesn't change. It's so weird. I kind of figured at some point I would stop anticipating things because time was going like so quickly. As kids get older, time goes faster, but it's like, no, like it's still like that same like 10-year-old me. It's like,
yeah.
Is it time yet? Are we like, am I leaving on vacation? Is it this day yet? Like I get like, I project myself like 30 days into the future because I'm like so ready for that experience but yeah, it's
I love that.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a weird thing. So what will 12 months from now look like, do you think?
Oh my gosh, probably even crazier than it does now. Or honestly, I've never been a part of a project like what we're working on. And I think there's an element of timing to be atomic. I mean, we definitely have some incredibly smart people on the team. I mean, my gosh, Clint is like, you know, a genius. Seth is a genius. And the people we're working with to build the product are just incredible people. But there is definitely an element of timing to this project. I think the industry is ready for it.
Yeah.
And so the attention and the type of attention we're getting and the areas we're getting it from, it's almost too good to be true. So I think in 12 months we're going to look probably bigger. And it'll be really exciting. I'm really pumped for it.
Yeah.
So
I love it when I've felt that way, like for the last, I don't know, 6 weeks. I don't even know.
Yes.
But, you know, that whole, like, it's just too good to be true. It's so good. And I don't even know why we tell ourselves that, right? Like we're not expecting good things in life.
Agreed.
But yeah, I love that feeling because then it's like when you get up in the morning and you know you have this job, you have this stuff that you need to do, but you're like so excited to do it. Like there's not that feeling of dread. Like you're just ready to attack it, right? So yeah, like I feel like I'm still waking myself, like getting up and like pinching myself to make sure that it's like it's still
that good. Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah, like when you get up and it doesn't even feel like work. Like you're almost sad that the workday ended, you know, in a way. Like you're exhausted from it, so you know you're ready for it, but you're like looking forward to the next day already.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a special thing. That's a really special thing.
Yeah.
Not everybody has it, so it's really cool.
Yeah. So I know, yeah, and I'm so excited to continue watching your journey. I know that we'll continue to be friends and meet up and do random things like
photo shoots in restaurants,
restaurants, vegan, like meatless meat.
Yes, cheeseless cheese.
Cheese and meatless meat. Did you?
And eggless eggs.
Yes. I still have mock duck in my fridge, but other than that, everything else has been.
Oh, I think I saw you need a refill, right? Hey, I can always send you a refill, dude. So there is such a thing as freeze-dried ice or whatever that stuff is called. So yeah.
Well, I'll be back at the end of April. I can't even keep track of the months anymore. But yeah. So
okay.
I'll be back and we'll get together. Thank you so much for being my first guest and being amazing.
I'm honored.
Forever on my speed dial, as long as you're willing to be.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I would expect it. So heck yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again. And I hope we do this again. I can't wait to keep watching your journey and catching up whenever we can.
Dude, I have to tell you, I feel like, and for those of you guys listening to this very first episode of You Don't Know Schmitt, I feel like when we met, and I told Seth this, I said, there's something else inside of her that I just feel like the industry hasn't seen yet. And when you made this move to go to Total CSR, in a way, I think it was always there, and you were like exploring it and really starting to release it. This was like that pressure relief valve just went off. And I don't know, I can't explain what it is, but I feel like you have this special thing inside of you that is going to come out over the next year or two. That's going to be like, the industry is going to be like, who the heck is Olivia Schmitt? Where has she been all our lives? And I need to know her. Oh. So I'm excited as well. Like, I can't wait. I really am pumped.
That felt like a sip of tequila.
Well, you're welcome, because tequila is pretty dang good.
Oh my gosh. Well, that means the world to me. And I am so blessed to have people like you on this journey. Like, you have been an inspiration to me. If it hadn't already been an hour and a half, I would totally go into that. But yeah, I remember meeting you, like seeing you. I remember then finally actually getting, like, our first hug was a sweaty hug in the gym.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the best kind of hug.
I know. And so, yeah. So now it's just been, I felt like that was a great start to our relationship. And I look forward to how our journeys are going to intersect and intertwine. I think it's going to be nothing short of amazing.
You know, us insurance women got to stick together. So I'm all about it. I can't wait.
Oh, all right. Well, thank you. And and we'll talk again soon.
All right. Sounds good, dude.